at this forum online and on the printed agenda. There were 3 opportunities to participate in Public Speaks Out: through written comments, by calling in, or by attending here in person tonight. If you are here in person and would like to speak, please take a seat in the rows to my right that are highlighted. Public Speaks Out speakers have 3 minutes each for their comments and may speak on any town-related topic as long as it's not a public hearing. And since we have no public hearings, you can talk about anything you want. 3-minute time limit will be enforced, not to be rude, but to be fair to all of our speakers. We have a timer on the podium. It will start with a green light. When it turns yellow, that means you have 30 seconds remaining. And when it starts flashing red, your time is expired, and that's the point. I'll interrupt you. Again, not to be rude, but to be fair to all of our speakers. I would ask that speakers be respectful in their comments and direct comments to the entire council and not an individual. I thank everyone in the audience for understanding and respecting that this is a business meeting. This is not a town hall. This is a business meeting. Do not applaud, make remarks from your seats, use props, or do anything else that may distract from this business meeting. So now is the time for Public Speaks Out, and I'll call on the clerk to read any written comments and call on any registered speakers.
We received 15 written comments. These have been emailed to council prior to the meeting, provided to council at their seat, and attached to the online agenda for accessibility. We have 20 speakers, and our first speaker is calling in virtually. And Felicia Moore, you are our first speaker. If you could confirm you can hear us and can speak.
Ms. Moore, can
Yes,
you?
I can hear you.
Please proceed.
I'm sorry. I had hoped to be there in person tonight in front of y'all, but instead I'm here at the ether to ask the council to not just consider the ways this body could act over the ICE expansion in town, but to actually act. I would like to ask council to consider the following actions, all of which are within the realm of Dillon's rules. Bring forth a resolution or make a statement of position. We are not asking you to say fuck ICE, but we are asking you to say we care about our immigrant community, we value their safety, and we do not want you to further expand here because that is contrary to that value. You can pretty it up however you'd like. If there have been any failures in procedure of permitting around this lease, I am asking that council consider and act on any consequences that can be given as a result of any failures in those processes. I'm also going to urge those on council who have expressed their concern to take that concern to the next step. There is procedural power here, a motion and a second. While we know the mayor has no desire to sign a statement or to openly position, we would like to see this voted on. I would like to see everyone at the table vote yes or no. I would like to see the discussion and debate around that vote publicly. If the answer is no, we will have our answer. The council may care, but they will not act. And then those of us on the ground can decide where to further point our energy in the most useful places. I understand the tough spot that many of you are in at the table. I truly do believe and feel certain the issue matters to you all. But Dillon rule or not, we do elect you to represent our interests. In this moment, this is a decision that this body needs to act on, even if it is just to show your constituents which way that action will go. Thank you.
Our next registered speaker, in-person speaker, is Laura Wingate. Followed by Laura is Lorraine Meehan.
Laura, can you move to your left, please? Thank you.
All right. Good evening. I'm Laura Wyan. I'm the Executive Director of Western Wake Tennis Association. We're a nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote the spirit and growth of tennis in Western Wake County, which includes the town of Cary. And I'm here tonight just to highlight 3 awards that your Cary Tennis Park staff or Cary Tennis Park got that I think is important for the town to understand what a great facility and staff you have there. The first award was given in 2025, November 2025 by USTA North Carolina, and that went to Bill Reynolds. He was selected as the Junior Team Tennis League Coordinator of the Year. Since 2022, Bill Reynolds has worked tirelessly to enhance the quality of programming and experience for all junior players. He oversees programs spanning ages 8 to 18, increasing team participation and ensuring matches are competitive and fun. He has added thoughtful role adjustments and enhanced coach communication and development. He encouraged sportsmanship and carefully places players in the right divisions. He's made JTT approachable and exciting for families, so congratulations to Bill. The second award was also from UST North Carolina, and that was the Junior Tennis Council Award, and that was given to the entire Cary Tennis Park staff. The staff at Cary Tennis Park absolutely knocks it out of the park in terms of facilitating junior programs across junior team tennis, circuits, junior tournaments of all levels. They have elite juniors and players that are just picking up a racket for the first time, but their team demonstrates a deep commitment to delivering clean, organized, and consistent product for young players and their families. The Cary Tennis Park staff goes above and beyond by actively contributing to the broader direction of junior competition across the state. They step up, engage, advocate, and help shape solutions across tennis statewide. So congratulations to them. The third award they got is a national award, and that was given by Racket Sport Industry Magazine, and they named Cary Tennis Park Municipal Tennis Facility of the Year. And y'all are a perfect pick for this. CTP is known nationally for the facility and the events and the staff. With 25 outdoor courts, 7 covered courts, 4 youth tennis and pickleball courts, it's one of the largest facilities in the Southeast, but you don't have enough courts. They provide local programs for all ages, levels of kids, adults, and people with disabilities. They have local and national events. They serve beginners to the top tennis players in the world. They host college tournaments and much more. From a community standpoint, Cary Tennis Park facility and staff offer a very welcoming opportunity to play the healthiest sport on the planet. We're so lucky to have a facility and staff that works to make tennis available for all. They have helped to build what we believe is one of the best tennis communities, not only in North Carolina, but across the country. From a personal standpoint, I have to say, frankly, they make my job fun. I love working with your staff, and I know from the top down, and then from the bottom up, their commitment to tennis is...
Interrupt the accolades.
Okay, I know. All right, well, congratulations to all of them, and I gave you information.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Our next speaker is Lorraine Meehan, followed by Andrew Gloop.
Good evening, my name is Lorraine Meehan. In January and February, Cary Theater featured the movie The Voice of Hinrajab. It has been highly criticized because it portrays the death of a 6-year-old girl as a victim of the Israel Defense Force. It features a heartbreaking voice asking, begging for help, but falsely implies that the tragedy is Israel's fault. I asked Cary, Mayor and Council to cancel that movie because such propaganda is deliberately provocative and incendiary. And that affects members of this community. It incites Jew hatred at a time when anti-Semitism is at an all-time high in North Carolina and in our country, as we saw just today with 2 more incidences. Leaders of the Hinrajab Foundation have known ties to Hezbollah and have repeatedly voiced their support for the murders, the rapes, and the kidnappings by Hamas on October 7th. The first response I received said, Mayor and Council are not involved in operational decisions and do not make decisions on what is shown at the theater. Basically, not my job. Another response was far more thoughtful, demonstrating effort and concern, yet stated, art is highly subjective and controversial art will elicit a wide range of opinions. Theater management responded with, quote, the intent is to provide a diverse set of programming, unquote. I guess that means it's okay when programming dehumanizes and maligns Jews. But deliberate lies and falsehoods do not require balance. They should not even be considered at all. If this were a piece of art maligning Hispanics or blacks or another minority, would the responses have been the same? Unfortunately, once the lie is out there, you can't pull it in. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. A lie repeated often enough becomes accepted truth. I asked Cary Theater to feature well-documented, truthful films which tell the events of October 7th through the eyes of Israeli victims and victims from other countries, telling what they endured and what Hamas bragged about and posted on videos on the net. I suggested 2 titles, but there are many more. Despite commitments to do so, as of this morning, there are still no plans to show such films on the theater schedule. I expect more from this town, a town that claims a progressive approach to challenge right on its webpage. I guess progressivism applies only to certain community members, not everyone. I asked the theater, which is supported by tax dollars, to actively review those movies whose names I provided and others in that genre, and schedule showings as it would any other movie with the intent to serve our diverse community. Unless, of course, the truth really doesn't count. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Andrew Gluck, followed by Maria Rouse.
Hi, my name is Andrew Gluck. Just want to expand on what was just said. A while ago, many years ago, there was a photo of a young child in Gaza being shot. Made the rounds of the world, being shot by Israel IDF forces. Drew the ire of everybody. Unfortunately, it was all staged and false, just like this movie was. There's no proof to this ever happening, but that you put it on stage as a documentary, as truthful. People try to find out how this made onto the Cary Theater, and was told it was done by a committee. Freedom of Information Act was requested. It turned out that was not true. It was done by one person. What were they hiding when they said it was a committee? Did they realize they messed up? No, they wouldn't admit anything. But when you put something out as a documentary that is not a documentary, but is false, just like that photograph, Hamas is known to put out false information. One time they said 100,000 people were killed in Gaza. Even they had to lower it. It turned out it was much, much lower. It was 42,000, and the majority of those were Hamas terrorists. It's amazing how false information gets accepted by certain groups without doing research. A movie being put on that has no proven factual basis to it, but given out by a terrorist organization, by both Hamas and Hezbollah. And this is how the Cary town conducts to do movies at the Cary Theater without checking the veracity of anything being done as a documentary. If it's false, it's false. You have to put it up as fiction. But you did not do that. And then we got lied to about how it was selected. That needs to be investigated by this group here. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Maria Rouse, followed by Carter Yao.
Hello, Town Council. Thanks so much for allowing me to speak today. My name is Maria Rouse. I am from the Apex Cary area originally, having moved here with my family when I was 6 years old in 2005. And I've really appreciated growing up here. So it's really important for me to speak on this today. But I want to mention a organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation in the area. So as I'm sure you know, back in November during ISIS Operation Charlotte's Web, 23-year-old Fatima Isila Velasquez Antonio was kidnapped and detained by Immigration's Customs Enforcement, taken from her workplace here in Cary to a detention center in Lumpkin, Georgia. She had a valid work permit and no criminal record. She came to this country as an unaccompanied minor nearly a decade ago. And I bring up Fatima's name today because her story shatters the narrative that we are fed by people in power. It tackles the Trump administration's main point that we need to expand ICE because our communities are dangerous. The truth is, many of the immigrants detained by ICE in the Triangle, like Fatima, have no criminal record. But we must also be clear that everyone deserves due process, regardless of their record, according to the Fifth Amendment. Town Council, I think you have a real responsibility to speak out against the crimes ICE is committing right now. When the Border Patrol came to the Triangle in November, our community did not look away. We organized, we fought back. We proved that we are stronger when we are united. And we need you to listen to our demands, and we cannot afford for elected leaders to fall under political pressure and stay silent as ICE plans to open another office space right here in Cary, where we and thousands of our immigrant neighbors have made our homes and our lives. You only need to take a brief look at places across the country that have sat back and accepted ICE's presence without any pushback, and see that we cannot let the same happen here. I don't believe that the answer is rolling over to this illegal activity. Town Council, I urge you to join the community in fighting back in the ways that you can and speaking out against ICE. As a community, we fought back against ICE in November and successfully sent them packing. And obviously, based on the steadfast involvement of many folks here today who were at Town Hall last Thursday, we've been showing up and organizing for months to protect our community. We can and we must publicly condemn ICE, say no to ICE in Cary, and make it clear that they are not welcome here. The lives of our community members are what's at stake. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Carter Yao, followed by Whitney Kidd.
Mayor and council members, good evening. I would like to thank all of you for allowing me to speak here. My name is Carter Yao. I am a high school student that has lived in Cary for over a decade. This town is recognized as one of the best places to raise kids in the entire country, a fact I can attest to firsthand. And for that, I am grateful for you all for providing us with such a great environment for growth. As the founder of the nonprofit Asian Blooming Artists, or ABA, I'm here tonight to propose hosting an art showcase in the Cary Town Hall. We are currently hosting the inaugural Asian American Youth Art Competition. We're collecting artwork from Asian American youth across Cary, aged 15 through 19. Asian Americans make up over 20% of Cary's population. And May is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which is an important time to appreciate how our cultures contribute to Cary's identity as a welcoming and inclusive community for everyone. The theme of this competition is peace. In a time when conflict and division are more and more present in the world, it is a theme that resonates with all of us, and perhaps most of all with the younger generation who will inherit it. This competition gives young Asian Americans a space to share how they feel about the world and express their thoughts and emotions through art. An art committee will select 30 to 50 works as finalists, and through public judging, different tiers of winners will be selected. Public participation and voting will showcase the artistic talent of Asian Americans and help engage with the community. We are proposing to hold this showcase in May during AAPI month, and we hope that Cary Town Hall can open its doors to exhibit these works. We wish for this event to be held annually, inspiring more young people to express themselves through art, improving art literacy, and using art as a medium to build understanding between us. As for how we will make this happen, I have volunteers under my nonprofit that will help organize the event, that will curate, as well as I have judges from the local art community who will select the finalists. We would be honored to bring this celebration of art and culture to Cary Town Hall and contribute to the great town that Cary is. Thank you for your time.
Our next registered speaker is Whitney Kidd, followed by Jolinda Malone.
Good evening. My name is Whitney Kidd, and I'm a citizen of Cary, childhood military dependent, state worker, and a member of Wake County Indivisible. We are concerned about the leasing of 11,000 Regency Parkway by Foundry Commercial to federal government to expand ICE presence in the Triangle. Firstly, we reject the mayor's previous statements that we should ignore this information and that making a public statement about it is asking for an invitation from ICE. This is the kind of passive societal disengagement that the current federal administration counts on to continue their lawless dismantling of our freedoms. ICE has a potential budget of over $85 billion. They're going everywhere, and they're not asking for invitations, and they're certainly not announcing their presence. We need the record to show and our elected officials to know that ICE's manufactured chaos makes our community less safe, and they're not welcome here. While we understand that city officials may not have the ability to control the leasing of private property, releasing yourself of any responsibility by claiming that you have no power whatsoever or that you know nothing about it is not an acceptable response from elected officials. ICE is killing people, including U.S. citizens. They're separating families and deporting children to detention centers with no access to education or clean water, and then lying to the public about it. Asking us to stay silent and hope for the best is no longer a luxury afforded to citizens of this country when these are the stakes. Numerous cities like Asheville, Chicago, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, Seattle have implemented ICE-free zone policies, which are land use and administrative policies that limit federal agencies from using city or county-owned property as staging areas, processing sites for arrest, or operational bases for civil immigration enforcement. These policies can disrupt infrastructure for large-scale raids, reassert local control over public property, and instill trust between immigrant communities and you, our local government. Although these policies may not prevent ICE from racially profiling and disappearing innocent people off of our streets or leasing administrative property in our city, they do signal support for your immigrant constituents and oversight of ICE in our community from local government. Further, these policies can specify that arrests on city property must be supported by judicial warrants as opposed to the administrative warrants that ICE creates themselves. The city of Minneapolis alone reported $81 million in lost revenue in January 2026, and thousands of students transitioned to remote learning because they were afraid to go to school. When ICE came to Wake County in November, Wake County schools reported a 67% increase in absences over normal levels. Our president can wage war against Iran to distract us from what he's doing here in the US, but our eyes are open. We ask that you take this threat of ICE and our demands seriously. Respectfully, you work for us, and you should care about keeping your constituents safe. Listen to our concerns, even if it is not convenient for you. Thank you so much for your time.
Jerlinda Malone is next, followed by Laura Hay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jerlinda Malone. Sometimes you may not want to focus on the future when you don't like where the future is heading. You start to feel a sense of anxiety, fear, doubt, and worry because you don't know if you or your family or community members will be okay with ICE in your community. It doesn't make me feel safe. It doesn't make me feel protected, and it surely doesn't feel right to my heart. I say this because I am a citizen. However, look at me. Look at the color of my skin, maybe even look what my first name is. Will they look at me and assume that I am an immigrant, that I am here illegally, that I am a criminal, that I should be detained even though I have the right, even though I have paperwork to show that I was born here? I'm saying this to bring perspective because it's just not the immigrants that are being affected. A lot of people are being labeled because they look a certain way. What is a human being to you? Someone of certain racial background, certain income, moves, speaks in a way that makes you feel comfortable. See, we are all humans regardless of our ethnicity, background, or our life experiences. We have rights and we deserve to be looked at and treated as a human being. So I come here today because I ask for you guys to consider people that look like me, trying to go to work, take care of their family, take care of their pets, contribute to society, to help us not have to worry about whether we'll be stopped or whether we'll be treated a certain way just because I'm just being myself. I'm someone's daughter, I'm someone's granddaughter, I'm someone's child. I am a human. Please help us from not having ICE offices or detention centers in our town. Thank you.
Next speaker is Laura Pay, followed by Lynn Tovar.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak. My name is Laura Pay. I'm a Triangle resident from Durham. I'm speaking today because the ICE offices in Cary are the only ones in the Triangle. The people grabbed off the streets in Durham this November were taken to the field office in Cary before they were shipped out of state. This affects all of us. I understand that the federal government and its agencies have supremacy, and we can't just tell them to leave, of course. But that doesn't mean that we have to play nice and sit back quietly. As City Council, you can consult with lawyers for any ordinances that could be passed which would help protect the community from ICE activity. You can coordinate with local law enforcement in preparation for the return of street-level ICE and Border Patrol activity in the area, so that they can be a resource for the community when ICE actions appear unsafe or unlawful. You can adapt signage for homes and businesses and other Know Your Rights education from other cities with Town of Cary branding to show that you support people in exercising those rights. You can create a special committee with immigrant community leaders and advocacy organizations to tackle this issue as a team. At a minimum, you can pass a resolution that reflects Cary's commitment to its immigrant residents and citizens, and that ICE expansion is not wanted here by the community or the City Council. Right now, CM Rudd is calling for Greensboro City Council to make a blanket statement that they will never allow a detention facility in their city because taking a public stand matters. These are not normal times. It is not fair to you as a City Council that you are having to deal with this. But I want to encourage you to be bold, to stand up for us, the residents of the Triangle, those of us who are afraid for our neighbors and those who are afraid for themselves and their families. I know that you may be concerned about speaking out and whether that will create more trouble, but trouble is already here. I would suggest to you that at no time in history has silence and compliance been the winning strategy in the face of wrongdoing. We will continue to call and email our state and federal representatives, and we will continue to demonstrate. But if we are to turn the tides on what is happening in our country, it must start with us locally and with you standing up for our community. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lynn Tovar, followed by Kathy Martin.
Mr. Mayor Weinberg and council members, my name is Lynn Tovar. I'm a Cary resident from District 8 and a member of a faith community that sits in the heart of Cary, St. Paul's Episcopal Church. I am joined by others from St. Paul's, and we stand here before you to express our concern about the news of an additional ICE facility planned or proposed in Cary. And I ask you, as representatives of the city, to explore all options to oppose this ICE expansion in our area. Our diocesan bishops have condemned in the strongest way possible the pattern of intentional violence and abuse of power by our federal government and in the actions of ICE, and that we cannot ignore this moment, because these atrocities come on the heels of months of additional abuses, including the abduction of children and the abuse of the elderly, the disregard for basic protections of American law, such as the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, and the reckless destabilization of the rules-based international order that has kept millions of vulnerable people safe for generations. And this comes from a statement from January from the Episcopal Diocese Bishops of North Carolina. As Christians, as humans, we are urged to stand for the vulnerable and to give voice to those who can no longer speak for themselves. This makes me believe strongly and clearly that it is a wrong step for the town of Cary to allow ICE expansion into our area. Where there is a will, there is a way. Other communities have blocked efforts to expand detention centers and other activities of Customs and Border Patrol and ICE. We can too. Thank you for standing up for the town of Cary.
Our next speaker is Kathy Martin, followed by Alexis Williams.
Shorter than anyone else has been up today. My name is Kathy Martin. I I am shorter, I can't see the people on the other side. We've already heard a number of comments about the ICE expansion. I wrote an entire page that would take barely less than 3 minutes. So I think I'm just gonna step down to the most important thing I wanted to say tonight. First of all, I was here last week, and I want to address the idea the mayor said that by doing nothing, he seeks to keep the attention of ICE away from Cary and thus protect his neighbors. And while I appreciate that, and I've heard it before, it's not the first person, you're not the first person to say this. The fact is, it doesn't work. And here's the most important thing to remember, is that people who are into cruelty and chaos will use your moral compass against you. They know that you will feel responsible if you do something that is linked to something that harms other people. And they will use your conscience against you to keep you silent. So think about that, please, think about that. You cannot save people from harm by being silent. The current administration is using ICE in a way that's never been used before. ICE has been here since 2004, 2001. And the way ICE was used by previous administrations, perfectly legitimate. Let's deport people who are violent, who are convicted of violent crimes. But that's not what's happening now. That is not what's happening now. And we need to fight back against this illegal use of force in our town. And please, it will not be your fault if violence comes here. And even if violence doesn't come here and 50 lawyers show up in suits, they're here to support violence in our neighboring communities. And we cannot morally support that. We need to work against any ICE expansion in Cary. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Alexis Williams, followed by Christian Yeager. Good evening. My name is Alexis Williams, and I'm speaking tonight not only as a Cary resident, but also as an immigration attorney. Every day in my work, I help people navigate one of the most complex legal systems in our country. People who are starting businesses, raising families, and building their lives and contributing to our society, not only in North Carolina, but in the United States. I want to begin by acknowledging that immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility, and I understand that our town may not have a set legal path to prevent a federal agency from leasing a private office space. But recognizing a legal reality does not mean our community or its leaders have no voice or are completely powerless. While I, as a lawyer, understand very well the bind that a local government faces when it is up against a federal agency, particularly one that notoriously seeks to intimidate its way into complacency, I take issue with the idea that nothing can be done, and the rhetoric around this issue concerns me, as it seems the plan is to simply submit when other cities in similar situations have found ways to combat ICE expansion. What concerns myself, as well as many other residents, is the lack of transparency about what this office will actually do, how many people will work there, and what impact it could have on the surrounding area. Furthermore, the location matters. Cocoa-Booth Amphitheater is one of Cary's most beloved gathering spaces. Every year, thousands of families walk those paths during the Chinese Lantern Festival, surrounded by glowing lanterns celebrating art, culture, and tradition from around the world. When I think about Cary, I think about that scene. I think about children running through the lantern displays, families sharing food and music, and people from different cultures celebrating together. That is the Cary I am proud to live in. It is also the Cary you see when you walk through our immigrant-owned local businesses,
Whether it's enjoying a meal at restaurants like Sassel or Sap, grabbing pastries at Brequity, or visiting the many international restaurants and markets that make our town one of the most culturally vibrant places in the Triangle. Those businesses exist because immigrants chose Cary as the place to build their dreams. As someone who works in immigration law, I see every day the determination, resilience, and hope that our immigrants bring to our state and our country. In turn, our community has grown stronger economically, culturally, and socially because of that. So when residents hear that an immigration enforcement office may be picked next to a place where we annually celebrate cultural diversity, it raises an important question. Does that reflect the spirit of the community we have worked so hard to build? Even if the town cannot control a federal lease, our leaders can still advocate for the people they represent. So I respectfully ask 2 questions tonight. Will the town commit to formally requesting transparency and community impact information from federal officials before this office becomes operational? Second, will the town and its leaders commit to protecting all residents of Cary from a potentially harmful environment by making it clear that they stand with its immigrant residents? I hope our leadership will continue to advocate for the identity of Cary and encourage conversations about positive immigration reform that strengthens families, businesses, and communities, rather than decisions that risk creating fear or division. Because immigrants make our community great, and Cary should be a place for everyone. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Christian Yeager, followed by Jackie Gottlieb.
Good evening. My name is Christian Yeager, and I reside in Cary. My comments are related to the ICE office at 11,000 Regency Parkway. The White House claims its ICE operations are about crime, violence, the economy, and drugs. These ICE operations are not about safety. Of those people rounded up by ICE, far fewer than 14% have a record of violence. The National Institute of Justice found undocumented immigrants are arrested at less than half the rate of U.S. born citizens. The ICE operations are not about the economy. The American Immigration Council states that in 2023, undocumented immigrants paid $89 billion in federal, state, and local taxes. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that they will add $1.2 trillion in federal revenue over the 2024 to the 2034 period. These ICE operations are not about drugs. According to the American Immigration Council, the majority of fentanyl smuggled across the border comes not from migrants seeking entry, but by U.S. citizens. Between October of 2018 and June of 2024, roughly 4 in 5 people apprehended for smuggling fentanyl at the border were U.S. citizens. The architect behind the ICE operations is one Stephen Miller, Chief Deputy of Staff at the White House. Before entering the White House, Stephen Miller served as an editor of the far-right publication of Breitbart. A leak of internal emails revealed his alignment to white supremacy, and he made frequent reference to the white power novel Camp of Saints, which describes non-whites as invasive savages. He would later work with Senator Jeff Sessions, helping craft policy to roll back civil rights, weaken voter protections, and target marginalized communities. His work in government has consisted entirely of targeting and disenfranchising people not like himself. Even now, the GOP is fighting to push through the SAVE Act, which will disenfranchise millions of people across the country, including married women, on the basis of an illegal name no longer matching their birth name. Nobody is safe. Stephen Miller wants to rid the United States of anyone who is not white, straight, and Christian. With his partnership with Russ Vought, the author of Project 2025, with Donald Trump and the timidity of our nation's leaders, he comes closer and closer to that goal every day. What we are facing is nothing less than a white nationalist movement hell-bent on securing power and racial purity. ICE is the sword of that movement. I realize it may not be the position of this body that does not have the authority to say no to the federal government, and that 11,000 Regency Parkway may be considered personal property. But I tell you from experience, abusers see silence as obedience, and they love it. And we must fight them at every inch of the way. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Jackie G., followed by Jennifer Valentine.
Good evening. My
name is Jackie Gottlieb. I lived in Cary for many years. Mayor, you should be very proud of your role in Cary's growth. We are all feeling traumatized and yet still work to keep democracy. But if you feel that you've resigned yourself to being a figurehead because you feel we don't have the authority over the federal government, something you can do is enable your council and town manager to make decisions and take viable actions. If you would, please envision a scenario where businesses close, residents stay home, not attending cocoa booth events, and Cary Park is desolate. Lots of lost revenue. GSA leased 11,000 Regency Parkway for administrative offices. Why? Why there? Well, if I was scouting locations with plenty of space, I would look for a place that offers potential growth, has multiple uses, and is inconspicuous. I would start out small and slowly spread out. Start with lawyers. They can create a plan for expansion. Potential growth from 11,000 buildings to include the 9,000, 8,000 buildings. A large parking lot to store and assign ICE fleet vehicles. Agents driving through Cary daily, hourly. Conference rooms large enough to host strategy meetings that include Bovino, Homan. A good location to interview new ICE agents and host a hiring fair. And the best part is, Cocoa Booth is an awesome space to host events, parties, and ICE training. Don't think it's plausible? Then why select a location with no fencing, no security, adjacent to a public venue? They know, we know they are there, and we don't want them there. Don't underestimate their corruption. Why? Because we have already witnessed the unlikely, the unfathomable, the unlawful by them. What does the future look like? The entire area enclosed as a compound where Cocoa Booth is no more. Businesses there are gone. The trailhead is closed. And this is what your lasting legacy would be. The destruction of Cary instead of all the good of all these years that you've done to this date. We have a choice. I have no power, no control. Why bother trying? They rule me. I accept handing over my authority. Or, before it's taken away, decide to do everything in my power despite the barriers, risks, and fear. It's important to remember that it's nearly impossible to get them out once they occupy. Several ICE facilities have been stopped by local business leaders who recognize the facility would ruin their profits. You have everything to lose.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker is Jennifer Valentine, followed by Maria Crosby.
I'm gonna say what? I'm a political streamer. Every day I report on ICE, their overreach, and the abhorrent conditions that people are kept in. I use abhorrent in a very loose term, by the way. We have reports of tainted food, guards waging bets on who's gonna commit suicide next, and people that are being sexually assaulted. Yes, those are reports. We have DHS aides like Corey Lewandowski saying, I'm not worried, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. Trump will just pardon me. And whenever you have someone above you saying something like that, that's a green light to do whatever you want. Add just 42 days of training, and I'll give you a wild guess as to why they came up with that number. But I digress. We are in an unprecedented time, and our leaders need to stand up and say we will not have a concentration camp in our city because Cary is a safe place for everyone. I mean, we were just talking about best public park, playground, bye, see ya. Asian, the population, what was it, 20% he said? Lantern Festival, see ya, bye, that's gonna be gone. If ICE moves into town, we'll watch our schools and streets be pepperballed like they did in my home city of Chicago. We'll see our citizens being murdered in the streets like they did Keith Porter, Ruben Ray Martinez, Alex Preddy, and so many others.
We have watched people beg and plead for ICE agents to let them get through to aid their victims, but they'll stop us, leaving them to drown in their own blood like Renee Good. It is not illegal to observe, record, and make noise, but for Renee and Alex, those were death sentences. Our elected officials need to listen to us now more than ever. My question to you is, if you're willing to roll over and show your belly to this administration, what else are you willing to roll over for? Are you going to give Trump our voter data as well? My question is, if statistically we have 11 million undocumented migrants in the United States and they're being deported, then why the hell do we need 250 facilities nationwide? This speaks to the broader threat that Americans will eventually be housed here. The only way to quell that fear is to say no to another ICE facility. Allowing one sends the wrong message. Do the right thing. Keep our beautiful city of Cary beautiful. Take a stand. Make us proud. Thank you, guys.
Next speaker is Maria Crosby, followed by Lucas Tyler.
Good evening. It's Marina Crosby. Thank you for the opportunity of addressing you again. On November 20th, I requested that the council publish the total impact of ICE's operation in Cary, including the types of businesses and day that businesses were closed, absences from work, economic calculation of loss, K-12 absences in schools, number of arrests, totals of those people that had criminal charges, civil immigration charges, and legal residents and citizens that they shouldn't have taken. I did not hear back. On March 6th, I wrote to the email address town.council@carync.gov, and I heard back from 3 of you. If the mayor is tallying our messages and using the number of them as a way to gauge interest from the citizens, it is very important to confirm that you're getting our messages. If our messages are going to your spam folder, I'm afraid you're probably undercounting. I ask that the mayor report the emails with actual numbers, since dozens is too vague to gauge anything. Several municipalities have expressed concerns similar to what our mayor expressed in the State of Cary Q&A session. Namely, the concern that if the council made a public statement, it would be drawing immigration enforcement's attention and putting the people they're supposed to protect at risk. I am an immigrant, and I have not found one immigration advocacy organization that supports that notion. Siembra en Sí has sent out and encouraged Fourth Amendment resolutions. El Pueblo features on their website a statement from the Legislature Progressive Caucus. El Centro Hispano has nothing to that effect. Could you please tell us who you're getting this notion from? Acquiescing in advance is the opposite of advocating, so please do not stay silent in the name of immigrants who need you. Finally, I don't think anyone can feel safe with an ICE expansion, considering what happened in Minnesota. So I ask you to please do the study on economic and educational impact and publish the losses that Cary suffered with only 1 day of activity in November. That data will give you the information to assess the impact that sustained activity would have in our town. Expressing that concern in a resolution is well within your remit and well within the law. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lucas Tyler, followed by Payne Ferguson.
Hello. I'm here to talk about ICE, and I know you've heard a lot about that so far, but everyone here, or at least most people here, know that ICE agents rarely get background checked. From what I've done, I've done a little bit of research, I found that Bridge Investment is a huge stakeholder in Regency Park, have you not considered at all that this council can use the platform to urge them to reconsider leasing the property to ICE? Which ICE, they're sneaking in the back door of this town. They're trying to hide it from everyone here. Last time I came here, which was last Thursday at a protest, someone walked up to me and told me that ICE has already been here. Everybody knows that. They're trying to get a second office here. No one wants that. These people have no training at all. They think they have immunity. 25% of Cary's population is foreign born, and y'all are one of the safest towns there is. If ICE comes in here, they're gonna ruin that. That's all I can say.
Our next speaker is Connie Ferguson.
Hello, my name is Colleen Ferguson, and I live in Cary. At this point, it's clear that ICE is attempting to make Cary its North Carolina capital. It's a great location, given our more than 26% immigrant-born population. In addition to the facility on Center West Court, ICE is now leasing office space near Booth Amphitheater for a team of lawyers. Detention center plus legal office means a sophisticated deportation machine in Cary. That is a danger to everyone in the Triangle. In the mayor's address last week, he shared Cary's status as the number six safest city in the U.S. Does the council really think that will continue if ICE is allowed to bolster their activities here? I understand that the Dillon Law means that our local government cannot take direct action, but to refuse to make so much as a statement supporting our immigrant population is unacceptable. The idea that making a statement would draw ICE attention makes no sense because ICE is already here, and they're not going anywhere. At this point, we are not asking you to pass laws you can't pass or enact ordinances you can't enact. We are asking you to care, to take action that goes beyond saying, well, this breaks my heart, but I can't do anything about it. Take a stand with the immigrants you claim to care about. The only force that can protect our immigrant population in Cary and around the Triangle is the collection of concerned organizers and activists who are working around the clock to monitor ICE activity, connect with neighbors who may be at risk, and provide access to legal support. We will need more than that to really defeat ICE. We must escalate our efforts in applying pressure to the building owners at 11,000 Regency Parkway. We must use our dollars to boycott Cary businesses who support ICE. We can even refuse to attend events at Booth Amphitheater while ICE operates nearby. If ICE comes in full force, we need mass strike action to shut down business as usual like we saw in Minneapolis. If the town council can't pass laws against ICE, they can still support our organizing efforts. A line is being drawn, and it is time to decide which side you're on. Do you support the people of Cary, or the brutality that ICE will inevitably bring? Inaction speaks much louder than any statement ever could. I think it's also worth stating that injustice here is directly connected to injustice everywhere in the world. Free Palestine, and thank you.
Where are we on the speakers? We have a 1 hour time.
We have 2 more registered speakers.
And then where are we on the time?
We started at 6:40 and 7:31. Our next speaker is Mura B, followed by Marilyn L.
Hello, my name is Mira Vitalia. Thank you guys for being here and thanks for letting me speak today. As you've heard from many of my fellow constituents, there is community-wide opposition to the increase in ICE presence in Cary or surrounding areas. I think we all saw the effects of increased presence in November when students who I and many others work with stayed home from school, family shelters in place, and anyone who could be racially profiled moved in fear and on edge. Increased ICE presence makes us all less safe and threaten people's basic rights to education, food, and healthcare. ICE creates an acute crisis wherever they go. We have heard from you all that you do not have power over whether they lease office space at Regency Parkway, but I think as you can see, that has just decreased our confidence in you as leaders who can create effective and creative solutions in times of crisis. This is not an issue that can slip under the rug or fall by the wayside. It's a direct threat to so many people in the communities that you aim to serve. Town councils across the country have passed moratoriums on leases to private spaces to ICE offices or detention centers. One was just passed in Seattle and another was passed in Spokane and in other towns across the country where leaders are using every single tool they have to prevent their communities from living in fear. You also have more than the power to pass moratoriums. You have resources and connections as leaders in the community to contact building owners and clarify the leasing information for a community that is worried and scared. This is the time to act proactively, not wait for information to come out and then take action. The everyday people around me, working 9 to 5s, working in food service, working as teachers or as housekeepers or healthcare workers, they are constantly coming up with creative ways to protect their neighbors. They are doing whatever it takes to make sure people can get to school or get groceries or get medication. All of this as everyday people living everyday lives. I urge you all to get creative and think about how you can respond in this time of crisis as people with power and resources. Thank you.
Our last registered speaker is Marilyn L.
Excuse me, you totally forgot me.
This is our last registered speaker, and then we'll open the floor up.
Okay. You'll be next.
Thank you so much.
I understand you've heard a lot of us already throughout the night, but I'm here speaking about the same thing. My name is Marilyn Mendiola Lacunza de la Cruz, and I am not your constituent. I live in Greensboro, North Carolina, where our community also recently faced the threat of an ICE detention center. I'm here tonight because a possible detention center isn't just a Cary problem or a Greensboro problem, it's a North Carolina problem. And let's be honest about what that system produces. Detention centers where people beg for medical care and are ignored, facilities where 911 calls are made for suicide attempts and medical emergencies and self-inflicted injuries, places where human beings are being treated as disposable. Greensboro's response when our community came and spoke up was adding zoning restrictions and creating more hurdles to make it harder for the facilities like this to move forward. That's a good first step, but just like we told our own city leaders, zoning restrictions alone is not enough. The United States is experiencing one of the deadliest periods in immigration detention in more than 2 decades. In 2025 alone, at least 32 people died in ICE detention centers that we know of, and that's just what we know. In the first 3 months, we have 11 deaths that have been reported, and those don't include deaths like Ruben Ray Martinez, Keith Porter, Renee Good, and Alex Preddy. Those numbers don't even begin to reflect the many people who are being tortured and have near-death experiences every single day inside of these facilities. Over and over again, the same pattern appears. People beg for help and medical attention, and the help never comes. It won't come. Emmanuel Damas, a 56-year-old Haitian asylum seeker, recently died after a tooth infection that reportedly began as an untreated tooth pain while he was detained. Just think about that. A man died from an infection that started from a tooth pain. And let me add, he was here legally, so none of that was deserved. His family still doesn't even have real answers about what happened to him, and he's just one of thousands. This is a system that you're being asked to expand. Across this country, more than 73,000 people are currently being held in immigration detention centers, and that's more than 200 facilities. They lied and said that we were all rapists, murderers, and living off of the government, but only 73% of the people detained have no criminal records and are not even eligible for any type of government assistance. Our people were detained for minor violations such as driving without a license or missing a court date out of fear for their life. For immigrant families, this reality changes how you live your entire life. For you, driving to work, your only concern might be getting there on time. For us, this means driving to work and wondering if a broken taillight will separate me from my child. And just to close, this is a North Carolina problem. This is not just a Cary problem. I drove all the way here from Greensboro because we're facing the same thing. And a threat from immigration is a threat to us all, because if you come for one of us, you come for all of us. And I'm going to tell you right now that whenever you guys don't speak up, we will show up. Thank you.
Ma'am, I'm sorry that you got skipped. That was unintentional, please.
I have a copy of paperwork for each of you. Yours is on top.
so much for taking the extra time for me. We weren't expecting it.
Could you give us your name, please?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Mary Stevens.
Thank you.
And I'm a resident here of Cary. So, considering, well, I'm on a totally different subject, and I've gotten quite an education and so far. The woman who just spoke talked about being separated from your child, and this is my concern at the moment, only I'm bringing things closer to home. Instead of talking about ICE, I'm talking about the local police department. Okay, the documents I've submitted have all the details that I will not fit into 3 minutes. So, on April 15th, 2023, we're talking about 2.5 years ago, and I was here on August 2023 and did not get to speak because I was headed up at the pass by the police chief Salt, who was so kind and wonderful, and I thought he was going to take care of it and deal with it. Okay. 20, 30, 35 police surrounding my home. Violating my Fourth Amendment right, police entered my home illegally with no warrant and battered me, wrenching my arm behind my back and dropping me to the floor. I'm a protected class, elderly, disabled, dependent on a walker or cane, as I was at the time. I'm 75 years old. I was 72 when this happened. At the time, I was pending hip replacement surgery. The police told me I had 2 choices, stay in my house and be arrested or step outside and be detained. I was detained from approximately 11 p.m. until approximately 5 a.m. without access to my pain medication. My son and my grandson had been in my home playing with Legos. They called a SWAT team that arrived as I'm watching from across the street in a police car. The SWAT team came in. I could see them through my bedroom window because the blinds were open, it was at night and the light was on, and they ransacked my home. It had rained the day before, there was mud everywhere. I had to throw out three rugs, and when I finally was able to come back into my home at 5 o'clock the next morning, I could not even get to my bed. Everything was thrown on top of my bed. My whole home was disheveled. So, okay. But when the SWAT team came in, they took my 2-year-old grandson out of my son's arms while my grandson was screaming for daddy, okay? Why? Because of a swatting call. The mother of the child called the police, feigning hysteria, saying, "Help, rescue my baby." The dispatcher failed to ask 2 questions. Number 1, do you know who took the child? And...
I'm so sorry I have to interrupt you.
Oh, you do?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
It's a 3-minute time limit.
Oh my God, okay, well, they took my...
We have your document. I very much appreciate that.
Okay, can I just make a closing sentence?
Yes.
I haven't seen my grandson in 3 years. They took him away. My son is in such a state of depression. We don't know where my grandson is. A year ago, we got a phone call saying he was dead, okay? The police took my grandson.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was 3 minutes. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
I'm suffering from post-traumatic stress, and thank you for listening.
Yes, ma'am. That concludes Public Speaks Out. I want to thank everyone in the audience for attending and especially for abiding by the rules of Public Speaks Out. We very much appreciate that. If you did not get an opportunity to speak and would like to leave information with us, the clerk can definitely take that information. Of course, you could send it to us as well. And we have a council meeting coming up in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And you're welcome to I'm sorry. I can't have a conversation. So we will have Public Speaks Out in another 2 weeks. If this is the applicant, maybe if the council is okay when we get to that item. Not the applicant. So thank you again, and if you want to speak to the council, it'll be 2 weeks from now, so thank you.